You can be confident, not in yourself, in the Lord. You can be confident, not in yourself, in Mawla Ali. With your own confidence, with a trust in your own regard, like now I'm going to do it, who are you? You ask your Lord, Allah, how can I do it right? Mawla, how can I do it right? Mawla, guide me. And if you read, Mawla Ali tells in a letter to Mawla Hassan, Salawat Allah, Mawla writes it in a letter to Mawla Hassan. They're both Imams. They both know everything. They both know the visible and the invisible, the hidden and the obvious. But for us, Mawla writes a letter as a father to his son, so we will see and we may learn. And Mawla Islam writes in there how to study Islam, how to study Islam, how to study these things. And before I begin, I want to remind you just one time we were talking about pride. Mawla Islam is the one who created the world, created Adam al-Islam with his own hands. Wajhullah, Anullah, Lisanullah, Jilbullah. Kulluna Muhammad, Kulluna Ali. All of them are Muhammad, all of them are Ali. Okay? If you make any difference, if you differentiate between the Bala Imam Chauda Masumi, then it is your utter destruction. You do not differentiate between them. They are all one and the same. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind we talked about pride. Now this is the letter Mawla Ali wrote to Mawla Hassan. In just the beginning, you're going to hear it and you're going to be learned. How Mawla speaks to Mawla. Salawat. This is one letter that is not written as a letter. It is called Commandments. Commandments 31. He wrote for Al-Hassan ibn Ali, his son, alayhi salam. When Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu salam encamped at Al-Hazirin on his way back from Siffin, so this is after Siffin, Mawla Ali writes, from the father who is to die shortly, who acknowledges the hardship of the times, who has turned away from life, who has submitted himself to the calamities of time, who realizes the evils of the world, who is living in the abodes of the dead, and is due to depart from them any day. That is Mawla Ali's introduction of himself. And Allah, Masam, Allah, Wajhullah, Fatih Khaybar, Fatih Badr, the back on which all of Islam has been built, fought, and raised, introduces himself as the one who is living in the abodes of the dead and is due to depart from them any day. What confidence, what self-esteem, what respect, honor. Where's that? If you guys are wondering, this is how Mawla speaks to Mawla. And then Mawla Ali introduces Mawla Hassan. To the son who yearns for what is not to be achieved, who is treading the path of those who have died, who is the victim of ailments, who is entangled in the days, who is a target of hardships, a slave of the world, a trader of its deception, a debtor of wishes, a prisoner of mortality, an ally of evils, a neighbor of griefs, a victim of distress, who has been overpowered by desires, and who is a successor of together. Who's supposed to understand what that means? Shahnshah Kainat, Amir Kainat, Khalifatullah bila Fasl, and his Janashin Mawla Hassan. And we Nabi Islam says, yesterday you were a clot of blood, tomorrow you will be a rotten corpse, and today you are proud about what? We speak to one another, Shahzadi, my prince, my princess, my king, my holy father, my dear mother. We speak to each other like this. And we think we are not prideful. This is true rulers of the world, true rulers of the universe. This is how they speak to one another. So the next time you think, I am not prideful, you should know that just that thought is very, very Salam. And now, as I had mentioned before, Mawla Ali gives advice to Mawla Hassan. And the first advice, where he says, I advise you to fear Allah, O my child, to abide by His commands, to fill your heart with remembrance of Him, and to cling to hope from Him. No connection is more reliable than the connection between you and Allah, provided you take hold of it. That is the key, that is the whole thing. Fear of Allah. Not fear as in fear of an oppressor, but fear to do wrong, fear to displease, fear the same way you love. Fear Allah. Involve Allah in everything you do. Involve Mawla in everything you do. If you are afraid of something, you cannot shake the thought. You cannot get rid of that thought. It's always lingering in the back of your mind. You have a fear of heights and you're 50 stories up, you won't be able to get rid of the thought. You won't be able to sleep. Because it's always on your mind. Everything you should be able to, you should not be able to shake the thought. You should be it actually in the front of your mind, but at least in the back of your mind. Allah is about this. But Allah thinks about this. Salam. The next sentence, in regards to people who wonder about their anxiety, about their depression, about their worries, or about their general emotional condition. Mawla answers that in one sentence. Immediately after the advice to fear Allah, Mawla says, and live in your heart with preaching. Kill it by renunciation. Energize it with firm belief. Enlighten it with wisdom. Humiliate it by recalling death. Make it believe in mortality. Make it see the misfortunes of this world. Make it fear the authority of the time and the severity of some changes during the nights and the days. Place before it the events of past people. Recall to it what befell those who were before you, and walk among their cities and ruins. Then see what they did, from what they have gone away, and where they have gone and stayed. Starting at the beginning. And live in your heart with preaching. If you are down, with preaching. If you are down, read qasida. Preach. Zikr. That will lift your spirits. It will awaken your emotions. It will bring your heart to life. Kill it by renunciation. If you are emotional, you are very happy, you are very excited, stop. Tabarra. Focus on La ilaha illallah. Tabarra. There is no God except Allah. With tabarra, you can bring yourself back down, bring those emotions, that energy back down. Energize it with firm belief. When you are lacking when you are shaky, when you are nervous and confused, then energize yourself, your heart with firm belief. Mawla Manas. No, you Mawla. We leave it on Allah, we leave it on Allah. Energize it with firm belief. Enlighten it with wisdom. Look what we are sitting and are trying to do now, aspire to do right now. With wisdom, get somewhere. to learn something. And humiliated by recalling there. That whole second portion. For depression, Mola says, do zikr. For hyperness, Mola says, do tabarra. For enlightenment, Mola says, search for wisdom. Right? But when it comes to pride, Mola says much more. How important is it to stay humble? Humiliated by recalling them. Not on one spot, wherever you look, first thing is humiliated by recalling them. Whenever you are starting to feel like, I did something, remember you're going to die one day. Remember you're going to be 6 feet in the ground if you're lucky. A lot of people get burned these days. Remember that yesterday you were not in this state. Tomorrow you will be in rotting clothes. People will be very, very, very hasty in putting you on the ground. And be very hasty to get away from you because you will start to spoil and rot. The people who loved you the most, they will be the most impatient to bury you. Don't forget that. Because that will bring your pride back down. So first and foremost, recall this. Make it believe in mortality. Make it see the misfortunes of this world. Look around you. If you're feeling prideful, look what's going on in Raza. Look what's going on in Yemen. Look what's going on in Syria. Look what's going on in Ukraine. Look what's going on in Russia. The misfortunes of the world. Remind yourself of that. Bring your pride back down. Make it feel the authority of time and the severity of some changes during the nights and days. Place before it the events of past people. Recall to it what befell those who were before you, and walk among their seas and ruins. Walk among their ruins. Let's not forget, Maulana Lesson is ready from Maulana Hassan. Maulana Lesson is telling Maulana Hassan and Maulana Hassan, you know, Maulana Hassan will listen and he will go and he will walk among the ruins and ponder the past events of old civilizations. What they came from, what they left, from what they have gone away, where they have gone. You will find that they departed from friends and remained in loneliness. Shortly, you too will be like one of them. Therefore, plan for your place of stay and do not sell your next life with this world. Salam. You should begin by seeking your Allah's help and turning to Him for competence and keeping aloof from everything that throws you into doubt, leads you towards misguidance. When you have made sure that your heart is clean and humble and your thoughts have come together, and you have only one thought which is about this matter, when you will see what I have explained to you, but if you have not been able to achieve that piece of observation and thinking which you would like to have, then know that you are only stamping the ground like a blind she-camel and falling into a darkness, while a seeker of religion should not grope in the dark or create confusion. It is better to avoid this. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Seek Allah's help. Ask Allah to guide you. Ask Allah for the confidence. Ask Allah to improve you, to clean your heart, to clear your heart, purify your heart, and to keep you humble. And only when you feel that peace, that calm, and you have that peaceful observation that some people like to call ilhami kaifiyat. When you have that peaceful observation, then you do this. Then you open up with the letter. Then you practice. Then you read Quran. Then you improve. Then you ponder. Otherwise, if you do not do this, then it is no longer a matter of thinking or studying, and it is a matter of walking in circles. Maulana says, why should I give my own example? Maulana says, it is akin to the camel who is blind and stumbling in darkness. As long as you do not have that peaceful observation, that purity in your heart, and that calm, peaceful observation, then even in the Quran, even in the Islamic will get changed. You need to be guided. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And then the question is, why would I be misguided if I read Quran? Why would I be misguided if I read Nahjul Balagha? Why would I be misguided if I try to help myself? This is the right path. You have to read Quran. You have to keep namaz. Why would I be misguided? And Allah says in the Quran, Quran says itself that the munafiq should not touch me because he will be misguided. Mu'min should pick me up because I will guide him. And Mawla Ali al-Islam said, you will find excerpts in Nahjul Balagha where he is discussing with people who are going to arbitrate, who are going to discuss with other parties. And Mawla Ali al-Islam says that when you go and you talk to those people, do not talk to them from the Quran, because the Quran will have multiple sides to it. You will speak, then you speak of the Sunnah from Mawla Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salawat. Because from the Quran, the munafiq will be more misguided, and from the Quran, the mu'min will be more guided. So use Sunnah. Then there won't be any way for them to disargue back. They won't have any excuses really. And why does that occur? Why does this happen that people get misguided? It's because people used to lie and people used to do wrong. There is a term in Urdu that is called Jarab Zubani. Just by open with that. Jarab Zubani means to waggle the tongue, but without any meaning, without any weight to it. Pretty much a blubber tongue, blubber speech. What is Jarab Zubani specifically? What Jarab Zubani is, there is a person, actually it's very common in politics. There is a person, you tell him, hey, you did so and so wrong. Yeah, but I did it because of this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, but that reason doesn't apply. Yeah, but then it was also because of this and this. That reason doesn't apply either. Yeah, but so and so did this, so that wasn't so bad. He's deflecting the whole time. And he's just going to keep talking until you give up. And in his mind or her mind, that is a very valid point they are making, but they are unable to speak to the point. They are speaking left, right, and center, but not to the topic. That's Jarab. And where does that come from? This inability to speak truth. The ability of speech is there, but unable to say what matters, what means anything. This comes from deliberate disobedience. This comes from kufr. When you know what is wrong, when you know you're not supposed to do it, and you do it anyway, that's when Jarab Zubani begins. That's when misguidance begins. That's when you are unable to speak to them.